Natalie Earle and I met when she was pursuing her undergraduate degree in physics. Uh, During this time, this is 2013, she was diagnosed with prediabetes. She had skin issues, really bad PMS symptoms, and she was contending with other mental health issues as well. Shortly after we graduated, Natalie engaged in the GAPS diet, gut and psychology syndrome, and in the subsequent years, she was able to reverse her prediabetes and put her other symptoms in remission. So Natalie, at this point, pursued her functional nutritional therapy practitioner program and got the FNTP certification. And over the last 6 years, Natalie's worked with hundreds of folks with autoimmune disorders, other chronic diseases to support them in symptom management, if not remission of their chronic disease. And she uses dozens of protocols to do this. She's done supervision with Mary Ruddick and is just a very loving, incredible person that I am so grateful to be married to and also to be patient zero of.
I'm so excited to introduce my co host and dear husband, Andrew Earle. He has a master's in marriage and family therapy, and he's walked alongside me in his interest of natural healing. It all started for him when he started to deal with his own chronic stomach issues, and he went to conventional doctors, but they could not help him. And actually, they told him nothing was wrong with him. He was suffering, though, from debilitating GI symptoms, and this led him to seek out his own solutions on his own terms. He luckily found dietary changes and lifestyle changes through the GAPS diet that created the resolution that he was looking for. He also has a huge passion for learning how to interface with landscapes in a way that is supportive to their natural regeneration process. And this cultivated for him in his own experiences in the outdoors and learning from indigenous.
All right, welcome to the first Healing with Confidence podcast. We're
Woo!
going to be talking about principles. We're going to try to identify principles, contexts that support various systems in healing, whether these are biological systems, uh, uh, physiological systems, maybe even
Nutrition.
nutritional systems, computer systems, relational systems, all sorts of systems. And we'll be interviewing, ton of interesting people like Dr. Natasha Campbell McBride, Mary Ruddick. We'll be doing a lot of health and wellness oriented conversations, but we'll also expand into other areas of interest to us, like the business world, agriculture. So I'm really excited for our
Yeah.
guests.
Yeah, I invite everybody here to follow along this journey with us as we continue to explore these different consistencies among systems thinking and regeneration of whatever system it is, right? And what are all the similarities and ways that we can learn and apply those things to our own life and our own systems?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start with having you talk a bit, Natalie, about how you became a systems thinker, how you became interested. I know it ties into your journey, your health journey, and you becoming a nutritionist. So let's start there.
Awesome. Well, I think it really must have started for me considering systems when I was studying physics. In really, my first physics course was in high school, but then I decided to study it and get a bachelor's in physics in college. Before that, there was always some sort of dissonance when it came to fitting in, I think, in the world. And I think that kind of led me to being more open to new ways of thinking, because growing up, there was a lot of people diagnosing or kind of passing judgment upon, like, this is the way it is, right? Saying this, it's black or white, it's linear. And it's kind of the society we grow up in, says it like that. And so that didn't really work for me. Something felt really wrong about that. And I felt wrong in the world, considering those messages and trying to apply, just live my life, right? And so in college, I was studying physics. And as a physicist, you are spending hours problem solving, right? And as part of my training as a physicist, it's to look at a problem and approach the problem in a systemized, strategic way. And so I learned this process of solving problems, and now I apply that as a nutritionist and in most areas of my life as well. Andy, you know me the best, and you know that I'm always kind of making up problems to solve in my life. Sometimes it seems like that. But I just love solving problems. And so, and using this strategy, I guess. And so the way that what the strategy is in some ways to solve problems is to create or look at the system that you are really creating limits to the system so that you can define the different variables that go into the system or are impacting the system. And then when you have those different variables, you can figure out which variables do you know and which variables you don't know. And the ones that you don't know, you have to solve for, usually, in order to get to some sort of understanding. Or maybe you don't need to solve for them, but they're just information for you to know that, okay, we can't always know X, Y, or Z, but we can create a formula to plug in and crank it out and always know and trust that in this kind of system, this kind of formula will work and it's repeatable. And that's what I loved. I loved it. So
Will
that
you
in
talk a bit about how you apply that then to nutrition, the clients who consult you?
Yeah, so the nutrition education that I was drawn to was not the conventional nutrition education that we were taught, which is really top-down education. It takes 10 plus years for new research to be implemented, and a lot of that research is very reductionistic. So the way that I approach nutrition is from a systemically looking at, okay, where's our information about nutrition coming from? It's coming from these studies mostly, and medicine that is flawed in some ways because of our biases that we always are coming to with science. Like, science is not like a perfect system. It's what it's designed to do, is to actually weed out the flaws and the error, right? So you continue to improve. But with a lot of nutrition studies, it's very reductionistic, meaning they're looking at maybe too specialized of a nutrient or application of something. And so we don't actually, we cannot account with biology for all of the different variables. There's some things that we will never be able to control for when it comes to nutrition research. So we also have information about the dietary needs of humans from anthropology and from just biology, right? Like, not just nutrition studies, but biology, understanding how the human body works, what are the different building blocks of the cells of different organs, and how those different systems in our body interplay together to make a bigger system of the body, right? But then there's smaller systems in the body too. So I usually am looking at all of that, right? So everything that I've learned up to this point is continually compiling on itself. And there are things that I learn um, today or tomorrow because I'm constantly learning from clients or from new research or new, older texts that I've been around for a long time. And I'm uh, really connecting the dots in a lot of these systems of how the body works. What are the different types of diets out there, foods out there that can help with these kinds of things? But a big thing too that I've grounded my work in is actually the microbiome system being probably really the more so the root, uh, the foundational system that impacts our whole body. So some practitioners will hold the foundation as like the hormonal endocrine system. So they want to focus on that first and foremost to impact all these other areas of the body. As a nutritionist, I wholeheartedly believe that, I mean, we can't really deduce down to the foundation being hormones because if we aren't eating and digesting the basic building blocks of those hormones, then that's going to create problems too. So how do we influence those hormones? We can do that through improving digestion and improving the microbiome. So that's the foundational system. But I acknowledge there are many other systems in the body, and so it's kind of a practice over time that I've learned to when to narrow in our focus of the systems to simplify things because there's some, most of the clients I work with have so many different symptoms that are in many different systems in their body, and it's complex. And in those complex cases, it makes more sense to address it in a simplified manner to solve a problem. I think this is maybe a theme that we will hopefully find in solving problems and regenerating systems in many different environmental or other kinds of fields, but that I think the solution doesn't have to be so hard or difficult or complex. I think sometimes the most simple solution can be the most effective. And so, yeah, that's a little bit. There's so much more I could say about how I use systems thinking as a practitioner, but
Right.
that's the bulk of it.
I think that paints a good picture.
Awesome. Well, I'm curious, how did you get into systems thinking as well?
Yeah, I think there's a number of experiences for me. A big one is growing up with my dad and my grandpa are both marriage and family therapists. And so marriage and family therapy branched off from the more individual focuses of psychotherapy at the time, like Freudian, Jungian, which were these really long treatments where one did deep intrapsychic work. And it's not that those approaches are bad or not helpful, but marriage and family therapy branched off as okay, well, let's look at the relationships, right? There's these experiences therapists would have where they were working with adolescents, make a lot of progress, and then that adolescent goes home and is in the exact same situation, the same environment, right? So the marriage and family therapist said, well, we have to treat the whole family to create system change. And once we do that and reorganize the family, then the problematic adolescent symptoms will resolve because they're perhaps acting out in a way that is serving the larger family system. And so growing up with that influence, that was certainly a piece for me. And then I think another big piece was um, my healing journey. I developed chronic stomach issues when I was in late elementary school, and I just get really intense stomach pain. Like I've, broken bones. I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I've experienced a lot of discomfort and pain in my life, but this was like, a 9 out of 10 when I'd get one of these episodes would hit me and I would just be completely debilitated for, an hour, sometimes a little more. And so I went to the Western medical doctor, right, who said they couldn't diagnose me. They couldn't get a clear diagnosis. Sorry, it's kind of mystifying. And and then ultimately we ended up together and you were on your health journey. You invited me to do the GAPS diet, and that was the context that my body needed to get rid of those stomach issues. And so when I did the GAPS diet, GAPS intro diet, I completely got rid of those symptoms while I was on it. And then I yo-yoed back and forth for a period of time because I have such a
Mm.
sweet tooth. I went back to the processed foods, the donuts. But then I kept on going back doing the GAPS diet again. And long story short, I haven't had those stomach episodes in 4 years, and I used to get them monthly, 2 times a month, and it was just miserable. Like, especially when I didn't have access to a bathroom, it was very uncomfortable. So that experience was so profound because here is this way of eating, right? There's this different context for my body, different inputs for my physiological system that is supporting my GI system to heal and my gut to heal in a way where my symptoms are completely gone. And so Mary Ruddick talks about how we are it's a gift in a way to have symptoms, and she had a terrible,
Post.
terrible disorder called dysautonomia, where she was bedridden for years, right?
Yeah.
And for her to ultimately have that perspective of gratitude for her body telling her this, it prompted that for me too, because I am grateful my body was telling me something's not right, and being able to correct that has been huge for me. And then, engaging with other lifestyle pieces. And as I just continue to study relationships too, it's human relationships, it's all of our problems exist within that context. And in my opinion, there's nothing that is inherent or intrinsic. There's all of these intersecting systems from our food system, right? That impacts our physiological system, that impacts our relational system. And there's all of these interplays. And so, as I continue to learn, it's not as simple as a lot of Western medicine uh, approaches medicine, and like, let's just prescribe this antibiotic, let's just get rid of the symptom, right? Get rid of the symptom can be necessary, or chemotherapy, right, can be an option that makes sense at times. But if we can identify in the first place what is awry, then I really believe we can avoid the chronic diseases. And
Hmm. Hmm.
so that's a bit about how I ended up thinking more systemically.
Yeah. Can you, or if you want to share more about the way that the GAPS diet seemed to fit that systems thinking for you, or how is that different than any other diets that you've, I don't know, maybe tried?
Well, yeah, I hadn't done any diets up to that point. I was just eating the standard American diet. I was eating what I wanted to. And
Hmm.
I kind of had an idea that vegetables were healthy. And so I tried to eat those sometimes, but that didn't really help. And we did kind of go through a phase where I ate more plant-based, and I did focus on eating more vegetables, avoiding meat, and my symptoms persisted. So, um, I think the pieces about the GAPS diet is whole foods, and it's simple, like you were saying. I think that is something simplifying, and that is echoed by Mary Ruddick's observations of the modern day hunter-gatherer tribe she visits. They just eat simple foods within a mile radius of where they are, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
just eating GAPS is really simple foods. It's a small amount of foods that you're eating, mostly meat stock, meats, uh, and then you add in dairy, eggs, non-starchy vegetables. It's a really simple way of eating, and there's something that's
Nothing processed, right?
nothing
Yeah.
processed, all whole
Yeah.
foods. It's, very low carbohydrates and sugar. I
Yeah.
think that there's something to that for our bodies, our guts to be able to have a break and some reprieve. The microvilli and the lining of the guts get so damaged from processed foods, and so they're able to heal, then they're able to start to absorb nutrients again. And so the cycle goes, because the more I eat donuts, right, the more I eat carbs, the more I want to eat carbs, the more I do eat carbs, the cycle of entropy maybe in that direction of disease.
Yeah.
And the opposite's true too, though. You can get, I think for me, is momentum in the other direction of healing. That's kind of how I've continued as I've found the context that have been supported for my body.
It was amazing. Yes, I think the those different variables that you focused on, that the GAPS diet focuses on, and there's, other parts of the protocol that it's like lifestyle and all of that, um, sounded like the right system for you to kind of contribute to your healing process. So
Yeah.
I'm glad you did it because now you don't have to
Yeah.
worry about those issues anymore.
Yeah. And
Thanks.
so these are just some examples we're giving of from our own experiences. And I'm so excited to, hear about people in the agricultural space, like what I know there's so many farmers that just started out trying to control, kill weeds, control the landscape, and then shifting to a more regenerative, holistic context where they
Mhm.
interface with the land in a different way has completely shifted how the landscape responds with, more diversity, healthier animals, and even economic benefits for the farmers. So,
Yeah.
super excited to interview people in that domain, the nutrition
Yes.
space, and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I think one thing that comes to mind right now that I just want to say is the system, something that's so similar among all these thinkers, I think that we're drawn to and want to learn more from is that they're constantly asking like, but why? But why does this happen, right? So if you keep staying curious enough, like you can, and in any problem, like anything that's arising in the system, you can kind of fine tune what what might be like constituting what are all the things that are contributing, and the
Yeah,
more you stay curious, you might find more of those things, and it's all connected, right?
yeah.
So that's the systems concept, and how is it all connected, and what are all those variables?
Yeah, and thinking of the idea of being in process, right? There's not necessarily an endpoint for me, I don't think, with my health
Yes.
journey, right? I'm not going to get there. There doesn't
Yeah.
exist, but and the same with we've been getting into the minimalist concept and trying to reduce the amount of clutter around our house, right? So there isn't a place that I'm going to get to with either of those domains, but engaging in the process of simplifying, engaging in the process of figuring out what my body responds to, and that centrality of curiosity in that process I think is so true, and in our relationship, right?
Yeah.
Curiosity starts with curiosity about ourselves, I think, when we are in an argument with each other, but then and when we can extend that curiosity to ourselves, then we can extend it to others. And um, I think I think curiosity in internal family systems, curiosity is one of the characteristics of self with a capital S. Energy, which is this healing force, is God within, is the idea. And yeah, I think curiosity is central to supporting systems and regeneration.
Hmm. Yeah, and keeping us connected.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned. Let's come on this journey together.
Yeah. All
Excited.
right. Well, that's that.
There we go.